91.3 KBCS, Music and Ideas, listener-supported radio from Bellevue College. The next KBCS interview is with Kiana Davis, an adjunct faculty member at Renton Technical College, a poet and an author. So today we're talking about hair. You have taken this on for your research, and tell me what took you into this journey of researching hair within the African American community.
I'm a narrative poet, and so I write a lot about myself. And so in 2009, I went natural, which means I didn't chemically process my hair anymore. And I was excited about the journey, and so I started not relaxing my hair and learning how to wash my hair, condition my hair, and that in itself was eye-opening because I started the process in my 30s. And I did not know my hair. And that was a revelation to me that my hair was more resilient than me. My project is called Unyielding Roots because I realized that my hair was unyielding. It didn't care about hair standards. It didn't care about policies, workplace policies. My hair was going to grow exactly as my hair was going to grow. And it was very resilient. Instead of my hair complying with me, I had to learn to comply with my hair. And I had to learn how to treat it, how to wash it, how to condition it. And in going that process, it was ups and downs because I was thinking, maybe I should go back and get my hair chemically relaxed. And I said, no, let me keep going. And so as I was doing that, I noticed how people were paying attention to me and my hair. So if my hair was natural, people would smile at me and look, oh, okay. But once I decided to straighten my hair, people would be like, oh, you combed your hair today? Or there was a lot of, I really like your hair on the days that I was straightening it. So I saw the different messaging that I was getting when I was just natural and then when I would straighten my hair. And so I was thinking, wow, who else is kind of going through this? But it was around the time that Chris Rock had this documentary called The Good Hair that I decided to take this journey on. It's just been a love-hate relationship with my hair. And so now I'm embracing it. And around 2013, I started seeing a lot of stories of young girls in school that were being pushed out or told that if they didn't change their natural hair, they were going to be expelled or they were going to be suspended from school. And that is what sparked my interest in hair.
What kind of age frame are we talking about for young girls to feel like that they need to do this for the society?
So one of my first workshops I did for the project is I showed good hair. And there was a little girl in there, I think she was 5 or 6 years old, who was getting a relaxer. Studies have been shown that the relaxers can cause cancer and fibroids and things like that. But so as early as 5 years old, I took my niece in a couple years ago and my sister asked me, are you going to relax her hair? She was 4. And I was like, no. She was like, well, a lot of mothers around our community are relaxing their hair. So I just wanted to make sure you were, just to see what you were going to do with her hair. And I was like, no, her hair will be natural. And so I think just because of our hair texture and because of, the curly texture, it could be called kinky, it can be called nappy, it could be called thick. That's one of the terms that I use. My hair is very thick. It's not as easy to manage. And so styling it is a process. Styling it can take a while. And I as a kid was known as tender-headed, which meant that my mom combed my hair, my scalp was very tender, but my hair was very thick, and I would cry. And so even when my mom did my hair as a young girl, she'd wash it, press it. So I don't know if you know what pressing is. She'd get a hot comb, put it on the stove, and then she would section my hair off and go through my hair section by section with this hot comb. And she would straighten my hair. So that's how I got my hair managed as a little girl. And that could be painful. And that takes time. So maybe you're not relaxing your child's hair, but maybe they're flat ironing their child's hair. And so that was traumatic for me as a little kid. I hated Sundays because that was wash day. And that meant I had to sit in a chair. My mom was going to burn me. But I loved the after she was done with, oh, my hair is long, and it was cute and everything. But the process of getting to straight hair was hard.
What goes into the process of washing African American hair?
I'm not exactly sure how everyone handles it, but I know it could be, for me, all day. It could be a day I'm going to set aside or several hours on a Saturday or Sunday. I'm going to wash my hair. And I like to use a detangling shampoo, and that's important for me to say, because my hair gets very tangled. So I have to section my hair off in 4 sections, and I'll wash each section separately. And even before I wash my hair, let me say, I have to detangle it. So I have to kind of make sure my hair is not tangled, because then that could form knots, and then the knots could pull your hair out. So that's just before you get to the washing. Some people put oil in their hair to pre-poo it to make it soft and to get ready for wash day, so it doesn't strip all the oil out of your hair, to try to kind of counter that. And so I'll section my hair off, I'll detangle it, wash it in the shower, and then rinse that out. Then keep the sections, put the conditioner in there, and then let it sit in there for a while. And then while it's conditioned, I'll comb through it, right? And just to make sure that it's not tangled up after I've washed it. Then I'll wash my hair out, and then maybe I'll decide to deep condition it, right? So maybe it's sectioned, maybe I've plaited it, or braiding it, whatever term you want to use. Maybe I've plaited the 4 sections, I'll put the deep conditioner in there, I'll sit under a hooded dryer for maybe like 30 minutes, or just walk around for an hour with a towel on my head, letting my hair deep condition. Then I'll wash that out. Then maybe I don't want to put more heat on my hair to damage my hair, so I would just let my hair air dry for the day, or half of the day, and then go back the next day and style it some kind of way. So it could be an all-day process, just to get my hair in a state, like maybe twist it, and then the next day take it down. 2-strand twist is really a cool way to get your hair curly the next day, or have a nice style for a week. So that kind of style might last. Maybe I'll plait it and let it air dry, and then take it down the next day, or 2 days later. So it has a really nice curly texture, afro type of style. So it just really depends, but it could take a while to have your hairstyle. So that's one of the reasons why it's important for me to talk about this, because our hair in itself is not as easy as to take care of as other cultures, because there's so many steps that we have to take. And so if you see our hair in like a curly state, it could have taken hours to get to that. It could have been like an overnight. We plaited our hair at night and then taking it down, and then we go to work and people were saying that is not acceptable. But that is like a hairstyle that is our natural from our head, and we're just plaiting it and then letting it out the next day so that it can have, a nice curly effect. So that takes time. It's a serious process, because this is our hair, and we want to look good. I mean, I want to look good. Women want to look good overall. And so we have to figure out, as natural hair people, how to deal with our hair, how to handle it, how to manage it, how to style it.
Yeah, it takes planning.
Yeah, it takes planning. Like, okay, am I going to wash my hair this Saturday? No, I don't want to wash it. I'm tired. I'm going to wash it. So sometimes I have to look at the calendar and say, okay, every Saturday I wash, or every 2 weeks, or maybe every 3 weeks. Because sometimes the longer you go without washing it, the cuter it is. That's just something in the community that we know. It's not that our hair is dirty. It's just that the more time that we put moisturizer in it, that's when it actually starts thriving and it looks really good.
So tell me what protective hairstyles mean in the Black community.
I'm just looking at thirstyroots.com, which is a really great website. Their definition is basically protective styles that tuck your ends away from your hair from being exposed to damaging agents like the sun, heat, and constant manipulation. One of the things for our community, for natural hair communities, don't touch your hair too much. Too much hair manipulation can break it off. So it just protects your hair. It's beneficial to all hair types. Some of my favorite ones are braids or 2-strand twists, things that you can do to kind of prolong touching it, keeping your ends up. Some other ones that are noted on this website are buns, braids, sew-ins. So some women get their hair, they get weaves, and that helps. And wigs, I used to wear wigs a lot too. Just keeping your hair kind of either braided or twisted so that you're not manipulating it so much. Right? Heat damage, like if you're styling your hair as a natural person, you don't want to flat iron your hair every day. You don't want to keep your hair flat ironed. You want to retain length, and you want your hair to be healthy. So those are just styles. And that was an issue I saw in 2013. I started seeing Vanessa Van Dyke. I think she was a young girl, violinist. She had a really beautiful afro. And I can't remember what state it was in, but they were saying that she didn't basically tie her hair up. She couldn't. The school was gonna either kick her out or expel her. And then there was another little girl, and she was like 7 at the time, Tiana, and she was in the South, and she had dreadlocks. And the school said that she could not go to the school with her dreadlocks. And then you would think, oh, 2013, that was a long time ago, but I believe just last year, 2019, a little 6-year-old boy went to school at a charter school. I believe it was somewhere down south, and they told him he couldn't go to school. And so, because he had dreadlocks as well. I mean, there's so many stories. I'm trying to compile a list, but there's so many stories. Like, I believe the young man last year, the wrestler, they literally had to cut his hair. They said, we're not going to allow you to wrestle if you have dreads. I mean, how long had he had those dreads? And how long had he been wrestling? But at this event, at that time, they were like, no, you cannot wrestle if you don't cut your hair. They cut his hair, and it was on the news. And there's another case right now, I believe a young man, he can't graduate if he has dreads. I mean, so every time I turn around, there's a story of young people that are just being told that their hair is not good enough.
That's another thing is that the braids and the dreads makes it so that the care of it is easier. How does that work?
I definitely know that for braids. I know that I've got my hair braided before, and it's like a sigh of relief because you don't have to manipulate your hair for a period of time. I know that getting your hair braided in certain styles could cost several $100s. It could cost $100. Just depends on, what you want and who you get to do it for you. But it could be very expensive. And so it could be a month or two. I know someone who's gone 6 months. They've had their hair braided for 6 months, and they wash their hair, condition their hair, but they don't have that daily maintenance. And that is, your hair is protected. You know that when you take your hair down, your hair won't be all broken off necessarily. And it gives you a chance to, not have to manage it because it can be a process.
How old were you when you started taking more time to maintain your hair? Like, I mean, where did it go from when you were, like 3 and until the point that you decided to make the shift to naturally taking care of hair?
Yeah, my mother always took care of my hair, as a kid. I mean, our moms take care of our hair. High school, I got a relaxer. Before that, I had an S-curl, just something to manage my roots because my hair was just really thick.
What's an S-curl?
It's a texturizer, so it makes your hair a little softer. So it's a texturizer. It's also supposed to make your hair curly or wavy. So I got one of those maybe like in middle school.
So it's like a spray or?
It's like a chemical that you put in your hair, similar to a relaxer, but it makes your hair, like it texturizes, it makes it softer. That's why I got it. And my mom said, let's get you a S-curl. That was back in like the 80s, 90s, right? They didn't straighten my hair because back then everyone had their hair straightened, and that was like really important you're in high school, you should have nice hair. Being natural wasn't a huge thing that I noticed, so I got a relaxer. And so after that, I was cool. My hair was straight. And so I would go to the shop every month or every 2 months. I go and I would get my hair relaxed. And it made it much more manageable, easy to comb. But you still couldn't do certain things like go in the rain. You didn't want to get your hair wet. You were not going to go in the pool. There were still things you weren't going to do with your relaxer. But at least your hair was straight, right? And looked nice. And so late 20s, I decided I saw good hair. I listened to Chris Rock. And my best friend at the time, she had been natural for so long, and her hair was beautiful. She knew all like really cool hairstyles. And so I was like, I'm going to go natural. And it was a really big eye-opener because I didn't know my hair. And that means I didn't know myself. It was really like a culture shock that I didn't know how to manage my hair. Because if you just think about hair, it doesn't seem important. It's like, oh, my hair. But if you've never really touched your own hair, if you've never really washed your own hair, if you've never really had to deal with the roots of your hair, it really makes you realize your identity is grounded in what? So what have my identity been grounded in all that time? So my hair changed how I saw beauty and how I saw myself because I didn't know how to comb it because I was tender-headed growing up. So even combing it, you have to take time. If you ever watch any YouTube videos on natural hair, they're supposed to take your hair from the ends all the way up with a wide tooth comb. You can't just start at the root and come down. I mean, some people do, but some people really comb their hair gently, not to pull it, not to break it. And so I had to learn all that. I had to learn how to detangle it because it gets really thick and it would get knotted. And I was like, where are all these knots coming from? I had to learn about the shampoo, that I should use detangling shampoo preference-wise, what kind of conditioner, because some conditioners felt like they were stripping my hair. So it was like all these things I had to learn how to do, where before, I just go buy some shampoo, conditioner, wash it, and then go to the shop and the person would take care of the rest, right? So it was like really, it was sad on one hand that I didn't know my own hair, that I didn't know my own truth, right? And then it was like exhausting because I was like, I don't know what to do. So do I go back to being relaxed, or do I really just take this journey to be me? This is my hair. As I wore my hair, Friday, I may wear it out because it's, Friday's supposed to be casual Friday, so I'm not going to wear my hair in a ponytail. I'm going to wear my hair out. Or just watching reactions of others. That was really impactful too. Like if I just wore my hair out, how people looked at me or did not look at me. And then how they would look at me if I decided to straighten my hair. And the difference. Oh, I like your hair. Oh, your hair. Oh.
Well, they would say, oh, I like your hair. Oh,
huge emphasis on my hair when it was straight.
When it was straight.
Yeah, huge emphasis on, oh, I like it. Oh, basically keep it like that. And don't keep it the other way. And that could be just what I was internalizing, but it was a lot of difference. It went from silence when I wore my real hair to if I straighten it, oh, you combed your hair today. Oh, I really like your hair. Oh, this is nice. Oh, you look young. It's just all these different.
Does it matter whether it's from the Black community or from the white community?
Yeah, it was just people. It was just, yeah, it could be any culture. People would be like, co-workers, just walking down the street. People who knew me and knew how I was, going through this journey, but maybe didn't know everything. Just they would want to affirm a particular hairstyle and maybe ignore another one. So you could kind of tell the difference between, the reactions I was getting. You can kind of see a pattern. Church, it could be both cultures, that maybe not understand. Or maybe my journey through my natural hair process, my hair was looking crazy because I didn't know how to twist it. I didn't know how to do a lot of things. And people were just trying to help me or just compliment me. But, those things, take a toll and they kind of make you think, okay, should I continue doing this? That's how I internalized it. Should I continue being natural, or should I go back and relax my hair? Or should I just press should I just press my hair and wear my hair pressed? And so, I don't know when the turning point happened. I think I just started watching more YouTube videos because that was a really great community. The videos and where the women are there and they're just showing you what they've been doing. Like they've gone through the journey themselves and they're like, this is a method that might help you. And there's like a huge, you can read the comments, and then people were like encouraging each other. That helped me. In 2015, they have I'm a poet, so every April there's like a 30-day poetry challenge. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do a hair poem every day. It seemed very insignificant. Hair, I'm gonna just talk about I'm gonna do poems about hair, everyday natural hair, or just hairstyles or whatever, hair. And that was hard because I realized that hair is huge. Right? Religious-wise, hair is our glory. Hair, is spiritual for a lot of cultures. And so it wasn't very different for me. Society deems us a certain way based on our hair. Socially, we can connect with people based on our hair. And that's why I had a really great virtual community, right? Building community, but also seeing how I looked in society. But I just started this 30-day poetry challenge, and I see women maybe on Facebook or just in the community, and I take their picture. And I said, can I use your picture for my book, for a poem? And I write about their hair. Or they tell me a little bit about their story, and I write about their story, about their hair. And so one of the poems I wrote is that I realized that my hair grows unyielding, refusing to disavow culture and DNA. My hair will not be relaxed. It could be relaxed for maybe a month or two, but it will come back. It will come back thicker and stronger than ever. So my hair was stronger than me. My hair was more resistant it was not willing to care about standards. It did not care what companies said about it. It was going to grow back. Matter of fact, it was going to grow back thicker. It was going to grow back kinkier just to show me this is who I am.
So your hair was fighting you.
My hair was like, I don't care what you do. This is who I am. And so that taught me a lot about myself. Why don't I listen to my hair? My hair was stronger than me. So I was like, okay, hair, let's do this. So even though I can say, oh my, it's been a huge journey, I feel free. Like I can walk. If it's raining outside, I don't care anymore. Oh, it's raining. Oh, I would get in the pool. I can get in the pool. I go to the gym. I don't have to worry about my hair. What's going to happen to it if it gets wet, if I sweat or anything like that. I'm just free to go. I just wake up. I can put my hair up. I can maybe go outside. I know now how to kind of make it go. And so that is freeing when you don't have to worry about your hair in the morning. You don't have to fit into some type of box. You can just be who you are. That is the best thing. So I got the grant from For Culture. And so last September, I started doing workshops. My first workshop was, what is good hair? You know, my goal was to show Chris Rock's documentary. It's a documentary film that focused on issues about Black women have perceived their hair and historically styled it. So it just goes on this journey of, you know, the hair industry, how we feel about our hair, you know, why it's being straightened or why it's being more kinky. There's a humor in it, but there's also a lot of seriousness in it. Chris Rock decided to do it because I believe his daughter said she wanted good hair. And he was like, you got my mama's hair. You know, he was like, you know, what do you mean your hair is not good? You know, that caused him to go on a journey because his own daughter didn't like herself because of her hair. So he was like, what's going on? And so that was one of the documentaries that I showed. And another documentary I showed was In Our Heads About Our Hair. And so that was a similar type of documentary where women of color were talking about their hair texture. It examines the issues Black women confront regarding their hair and self-esteem. Despite current natural hair trends in urban areas, many Black women say conforming to mainstream beauty standards makes it easier. Right? It makes it easier to find jobs and makes it easier to live. So it was also just a really wonderful documentary, and that was produced in 2012. And so there was a young girl, I was advertising, talking to people about it, and there was a young girl, young mother in the library, and I just happened to reach over, you know, give her one of the flyers, and I asked her, you know, about her hair. She had her hair weaved, it looked really cute. And I talked about her natural hair, and she was like, oh, I could never wear my hair natural. And I was like, why can't you wear your hair natural? She was like, it would be short. It's kinky. People would laugh at me if I wore my own hair. And I was like, really? And I was like, I bet it's really beautiful. And she was just not there. She just didn't think her hair was worth her wearing. I don't know. I don't even know how to put it into sentences, but she did not see a way that she could wear her own hair and still be considered beautiful and still be, you know, without being maybe mocked. And her daughter was with her. Her daughter had, you know, different hair texture, she said. My daughter has different hair texture than I do. It's softer than mine, so she could wear her hair naturally. I let her wear her hair naturally, but I can't wear my hair naturally. And I was like, please come to my workshop. I love to talk to you more about your hair and your journey and your story. And so those are just some of the stories I'm hearing where some people are like, I love my hair. I don't have any issues with my hair. And they're natural. Or people who have, you know, are people who are like, have had horrible experiences where they're crying, like, oh, you know, where they can recount a story where either they had to get all their hair cut off because of a chemical treatment, or people who made them feel horribly about their hair at work. I mean, there's just like a spectrum of stories. And so for my project, my website is called, it's unyieldingroots.com. I'm just looking for hair stories. It could be a love story to your hair. It could be a story about pain or trauma, but it could just be, you know, a story where you learn to embrace who you are, your hair. I'm not looking for any particular type of story, but just a story about your journey. And I'm looking for stories from women, Black women, teens, and young girls. Because I'm taking care of my niece right now, and she was 4 when she came. And she didn't like her hair, and I noticed that. And I was like, oh, you're a beautiful little brown princess. And she was like, no, I'm a white princess. And I was like, okay. And so she was 4 years old because that's what she saw, Frozen, you know, and so that's what, you know, and I was like, okay. And so I try to affirm her and give her dolls and things like that look like her. And then recently I asked her about her hair, and she's like, well, I don't like my hair. And I was like, am I failing? Am I failing? You know? And so she said, I don't like my hair. The girls at school say my hair has too much oil in it, or my hair is this and that. And You know, just the messaging that she's gotten from her hair. And I wear my hair naturally all the time, you know, but she was like 7 and she didn't like her hair. We don't even watch that much TV. Because when I was a kid, I watched so much TV, and that's how I got a lot of my hair esteem from TV and, you know, celebrities. But I don't even let her watch that much TV. So just going out in elementary school, you know, princesses. What princess has her hair? You know, like who can she look up and say, that's my hair? And so this is another reason why this project is important to me, because I really want to know how these policies are affecting women, teens, and young girls. How are we going to help them have hair esteem? You know, and even when I look at the project, is it important? Right? It's important for me. And as I talk to more and more women, I see it's important to them. And one of my goals is to take the book and go to schools. You know, maybe talk to principals, I'm a teacher myself, talk to schools, officials, and say, this is our hair. This is how young girls, teens, and women are feeling about their hair. These are some of their hair stories, you know. Maybe to add some type of conversation around those hair policies. Because you might see a young girl in your class with braids, but that could have taken 8 hours to do, maybe $200, and that's going to give her a chance to concentrate on school. Hair is huge, because when my hair personally, just black women in their hair, if you look at them, our hair is different. We have to figure out ways to keep, you know, be just as beautiful as everyone else, but also to manage our hair. And everything tells us our hair is not enough. Everything's like, your hair is too kinky, your hair is too this, and your hair is too that. At some point, we have to embrace who we are. We have to protect our hair. And everywhere we turn, in a lot of instances, it's a no, or it's not good enough. And if we chemically straighten our hair, there's cancerous agents in there. And if we straighten our hair with so much heat, it could break our hair off. You know, so where's our relief? Where can we be who we are? If we can't be who you are at school, like I'm working on my master's right now in education. I have found nothing in a textbook that says if someone comes to school with hair that's too kinky or hair that's braided, they can't be educated. Like there's nothing in the textbooks about that. So I don't know where these policies are placed and why they're important.
Besides the news pieces about African American kids who are, you know, where their hair is cut off at school or they're sent home because of their hair, tell me of like some of the stories that have come up around you.
I did a workshop with Yale through Highline. They do it every year with young girls of color. And so I taught the workshop, Unyielding Roots workshop about hair. And I did it just overall about women and their hair. And then I ended it with, you know, black women, the discrimination, the struggles, and the laws that have been passed about hair discrimination. And there, at the end of it, there was a lot of young girls of color, black girls, that were saying, yeah, when I go to school, I went to school. And I guess one young girl had went to school with her hair weaved. But she didn't have something, so she wore like a bandana over it. She wore a scarf. And the school official was like, you can't be here with that on your head. You have to go home. And she was like, I just got up to come here to learn, you know. So she was trying to have straight hair to be at school, but, you know, that was one. And then there was another young girl who goes to a private school. I think she's like one of only black girls or black students in the school. And she was like, one day I just wanted to go to school with my hair out. So she wore her hair out, and everybody in class wanted to touch her hair and talk to her about her hair. And the teacher pulled her to the side and was like, can you not wear your hair like that anymore? It's distracting. It's disturbing the class, basically. That's how she took it. So there was a lot of stories at the end where I was able to just talk. You know, I talked about just hair in general, like what is hair? What does it represent? I talked about different cultures and what's, you know, the significance of hair in their culture. And then I ended it with, you know, just some of the things I've noticed about discrimination around, and the girls were like raising their hand, and they were just really had a lot of stories about their hair and how they're trying to comply and how they're trying to assimilate, but with the hair texture that's unyielding. You know, with unyielding roots and what that meant to them and how they saw their hair and how they want to keep their hair straight just to avoid a lot of backlash. But it could be expensive. It could be expensive. So they've internalized a lot of pain. So they were like, thank you. You know, they were like, thank you for talking about this. because I don't know where they could talk about it.
As people within the community, who are not necessarily African American, what are ways that we can promote a culture, an environment that is helpful?
I think that it's the policies, right? It's a lot of the hair, the handbooks and things like that, the company standards that should also be looked at as well. But maybe research it, read. There's a lot of history on black hair, especially in America, because we didn't talk about like historically, like slavery. We didn't own ourselves, so we didn't own our own hair. So our hair was either shaved off sometimes to commit for shaming us, or we just had to figure out how to moisturize our hair. So it's been a huge journey of just owning your hair, and still we don't own our own hair. And still there's this huge conversation about our hair, or there's no conversation, but there's macro or microaggressions about our hair and how we're wearing our hair. And that has come from slavery to today. So I think people can read and research and realize that if someone's wearing their hair in an afro, that is how their hair grows out of their head. Everyone's hair is not the same. That is their hair, right? And just, that's it. That's their hair. Their hair is not like your hair, and that's okay. I think it's okay if their hair looks like that. That for me, just do some research on it. Like, there's a lot of information about it. In kindergarten, keep comments, if they're negative comments, keep them to yourself. Right? You don't have to share everything with everybody, if it's a negative comment. I think that people just don't realize what goes into looking, beauty standards. Like, we're trying to, a lot of black women, not every black woman has to conform to a standard that does not fit our mold. There's a lot that goes into straightening our hair, becoming a professional, and in whose opinion, right? There's a lot of steps that we have to take. And so respect that. So if we come to work with our hair straightened, there's some steps that we've taken. Black women have spent, I think in 2017, $473 million on their hair. Why are we spending so much money on our hair? To assimilate, to come into a culture that doesn't want us a lot of times because of various reasons. And notably, we can say through the laws that have been passed, our hair. And we're doing a lot of work to conform. And nobody wants to conform to us. No one's going to say, okay, let me think about why your hair looks like that. It's just your hair does not fit my policy. You cannot come to my school. And we work hard to assimilate, and it's exhausting. There's a lot of layers. There's a lot of historical pain. There's a lot that goes into talking about hair, black women in their hair, and black males in their hair, right? So it's a layer. It's a layer. But I think if you're a school, especially, you can talk to the parents, right? You can talk to other teachers. Try to do some research, though. I think that from my standpoint, and I could be wrong, but in a lot of instances, it feels like there's just like this another door that could be closed. But this door closed, we can't change our skin color. We can't change we change our hair texture. We can, but it's just a process. Why do we have to make so many changes? And I don't see a lot of changes being made for us.
What are some examples of remarks that are microaggressions about hair?
Just even, can I touch your hair? It's like you're a dog or something. I think it goes back to not being able to own your own body. I think there's just layers. So one of them is, you're not going to be able to get a job with your hair like that. Is your hair real? Wow, your hair is so soft. I wasn't expecting that. Does a comb ever get stuck in your hair? Do you even comb your hair? You have good hair because your curls are pretty and defined. I think you should straighten your hair more often. It's pretty. And then I'm going to read a poem.
Okay.
So the Unyielding Roots Project is my hope. We use poetry and storytelling to capture our hair stories. By telling our hair stories, I'm hoping the stories will inspire schools and companies or people to change their biased policies and practices, and to help Black women and girls and teens share and embrace their hair history. Their hair esteem maybe will be improved through the storytelling. So I'm just hoping it will build a community of understanding and a place where people can be free to be who they are. Mm. So this is a young girl from Puyallup who was in 5th grade who said she was bullied because of her hair. And I wrote this poem inspired by her. Her name is Audrey. and says, "This is my hair. These are my roots, thick, coily, and unwavering. My hair grows unyielding, under the weight of policies and labels of not being enough, but it will not bend or change who it is. It fights to remain everything it is told not to be, unapologetically free." I'm a narrative poet, so I like to tell my story, but I love hearing other stories. And I think combining the stories will create a really great picture of what's going on. The love, the pain, and the struggle with being naturally who we are.
Yeah.
The problem is where you go to school and someone tells you your hair is not enough. Your hair is deemed, too this and too that, too nappy, too dry, too short, not straight, right? Is where the internalizing starts. And then the judgment, the self-esteem is impacted, right? It's nothing wrong with going to school and sharing, touching, hair and, but it's when someone's told that their hair is not good enough, or the messaging says that, or if you wear your hair in its natural state, the teacher's reaction, or the other students like, "That's ugly," or "That's," and then you're bullied for something that you cannot control.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you're trying to control that by yourself, right?
You internalize it, and maybe it's really you think, who do you share that with necessarily? But this young girl, Audrey, went home and shared it with her mom, and then her mom was like, "No way," and so then her mom took it to the news, to let people know this is not right. And so you could see her hair, and you could see her hair was beautiful, beautiful, flowing. She wore an afro. And everyone was just upset about that. But we have to think about why the kids are upset about it. They don't see it often. So if they don't see it, and then when they do see it, it's negatively portrayed, then that's what the kids have also internalized. So they're communicating what they've learned. And they're trying to project that onto other people. So what we've learned about Black women and their hair is being communicated. And that's why these laws are being created. So it's coming from somewhere, right? But we are at the brunt of it. So how do we handle it, right?
Yeah, and it is also about how people deal with discomfort.
Yes.
There's that, it's making me feel uncomfortable, or if the children are feeling uncomfortable because they've never really seen it before, then how does an adult help navigate?
How do you have a conversation in your classroom? Mm-hmm. Right, exactly. Mm-hmm. For me, it's not just hair. It is just hair, but there's a history, there's layers. There's some internalizing I've had. There's messaging I've had. There's experience I've had. I can't convey it all. But how I show up with my hair, it says a lot.
And your hair talked to you.
Yeah, my hair was like, "I don't care what you're doing and why you're doing it, but this is who I am. This is how I'm going to grow. This is what I need you to do. I need you to figure it out. This is who you are. This is part of your DNA. This is your culture." So my hair just had no sympathy for me. It was just like, whatever, figure it out. Like, figure out how to comb me, or I'm going to break. But I'll come back stronger than ever.
That was Renton Technical College adjunct faculty member, poet and author Kiana Davis, discussing her project Unyielding Roots that celebrates Black hair and self-love. Special thanks to Sophia Sethi for her help with editing the story. With KBCS, I'm Yuko Kadama.